365 Days of Horsemanship, day 161. It's actually day 162 now. Another retrospective vlog. Yesterday was quite a nice day. It was one of those sort of practical days. I brought both horses up to the yard, Lawrence, so that I could do his foot, because I'm still treating that kind of central split in his frog, which is healing up super nicely. I'm really happy with it. So those shoes are definitely helping with the stability, which is really interesting. It's just kind of that consideration of what we'll do with it afterwards, to really try to help the cartilage at the back of the foot. And then and that was super. Brought him up. Both of them took a few minutes to halter, definitely. I think I'm really having I would say a philosophical crisis is perhaps a strong word, but I think I'm really questioning how and why I do horsemanship and what kinds of horsemanship that I do, because I really feel like I'm in this in-between house of really wanting everything to work with freedom-based training and wanting everything to be perfect like that, where you can convince the horse that, being around you is great. And then also I think the speed of dominance training, because I think I would always want to use as little dominance as possible. But also I think I'm kind of I'm in a place in my life where I'm trying to come to some acceptance. I'm in my mid-20s. I think it's just maybe a weird time where you're just kind of trying to find your feet as an adult. I'm going to be 26 next week, and it's not going to be that long before I'm 30, and that's fine. But I think it's just, I think I'm having a lot of experiences in life that are kind of forcing me to step out of perhaps the fairy tale and really accept how things are. But then I also feel like there's a difference between accepting the world for what it is and being okay with things not being perfect, or coming to accept things being messy and tricky and not perfect and limited in time, and a compromise, versus accepting things being the way that they've always been and limiting your growth. And I think that it's really difficult for me to work out exactly really where I fit, because when I look at pioneers, and I guess not even people, but pioneering ideas or things that have changed the world, those all came from an attitude that anything is possible. When Steve Jobs built the iPhone, he didn't say well, it's impossible, you could never have a phone like that. He decided and then pushed for it, right? And so I kind of really want to believe in the vision, but I think it comes back to kind of a core issue that I've always had, is that I don't know, and there's nothing wrong with it being fun for other people. I'm just not really sure which discipline or activity I would want to do with the horses long term that's fun for me. And that's definitely, kind of a bit of a crisis point for me, I think, where I just wonder what's the end goal? And I'm thinking back to kind of my session yesterday. I bring the horses up and, I put Mia on the yard, and Mia's pretty kind of easy if she's got food, and she's got another horse with her, and really even on her own, if she's got a hay net, she can pretty much be counted upon to eat, which is actually a really lovely, dependable characteristic that she has. Yesterday when I was taking them both back, Lawrence definitely got a little bit anxious when he was on the yard, and he's he's walking and he's pooing and he's doing all these things, and at one point I noticed that potentially it was because his rope was quite short, and obviously the saying is tie horses short and dogs long, And that's absolutely true. From a safety perspective, it's super important not to tie a horse too long. But I think I also tied him too short and made him feel even more claustrophobic. And I think it was difficult for him because his teeth at the front are getting quite worn down now because he's pretty old. And I think that he was struggling to reach the big hole in the hay net at the bottom where it's easier for him to get the hay out. And so I lengthened the rope just a little bit just to help him have a bit more room. And that did seem to help his anxiety a bit, which was really interesting. And he was definitely in a better place when we left than he had been at the peak of his stress. And I was really happy that, again, I'd been able to, you know, come through a cycle of stress with him. But, you know, then I'm taking him back. He's still quite anxious. And so I have to take him back. And I take them both together up to the top of the hill. And it's just really easy to feel like I can trust Mia, that I'm just going to leave her there and she's going to be really happy with this pile of grass. And that's going to make things super easy for me. And so, you know, from this perspective, it's like, okay, I can understand the purpose of, you know, helping horses feel better about their activities of daily living that they need to do to stay fit and well, like, you know, being okay for the farrier and being okay for, you know, being haltered and being led and doing this and doing that. But then beyond that, it's like kind of recreational activities. I don't really know what the end goal looks like. And so then I think I find it quite difficult then to apply dominant training. And I think I even find it difficult to apply freedom-based training. I kind of find it difficult to apply any training at all because I don't really know what I'm training for. And I think it's a deep question for me because I think it's all tied up in ideas around what fun is and what recreation is for me and what I find fun. And that's all tied into, you know, lots of strange, weird and wonderful coping mechanisms that we all pick up as we go through life, and weird and wonderful things happen to us. So it's an interesting time. I think it's something that needs a little bit of reflection, introspection. I had Elsa's second lesson yesterday evening as well, which was really interesting. I'll talk a little bit more about it in my next video. But essentially we were kind of talking about the different kinds of training, which was really interesting. And brought up some really interesting stuff around just wondering sort of what my horses really do and don't like in the moment. So that's kind of what I've been working on following that. But yesterday was a good day. I was happy with it. I was happy with it. I think maybe I'm also just straining against my own impatience. I think I need to just keep turning up and making the right choices and trying to enjoy the journey and not being so worried about the destination. But I think I said that, you know, in another video literally like yesterday or the day before, and here I am again worrying about it again, as is human nature and as is my nature. So yeah, we'll see.